I'm in the hole, and I got an increase. Does that make sense? It's just insane. That's not even a cost of living increase, right? Because it's simply not keeping up with inflation. It's crazy. The system is broken. Today I want to talk to you about how positively insane it is that wages are not keeping up with inflation. And in fact, they haven't kept up with inflation for at least the past 30 years. Let me give you an example. Okay, I'm an hourly worker. And this past review, I got a $2 an hour raise. Kind of sounds like a lot, right? But consider this. Okay, if you take a standard 40-hour work week, that $2 extra an hour translates to $80 extra a week. And there are 52 weeks in a year. So that means yearly, that's a net increase of $4,160 extra, right? But you have to take out tax. So I figure that 20% tax is a reasonable estimate. So after that, after you take out taxes, you are left with $3,328, okay? So that's how much extra income you have, or I have, compared to the year before. Okay, now let's look at the other side of the equation. How have my expenses gone up over the past year? First off, there's rent. Rent has gone up $100 a month, so that means there's an extra $1,200 coming out of my pocket. Okay, so if I take that $1,200 from the $3,328, that means now the amount I have left over after my increase is only $2,128. But rent's not the only thing that's gone up. Gas is going up too. So if I make a conservative estimate, say I'm paying $10 more a tank full, and I fill up twice a month. I got a hybrid, so I can get away with that. Well, that's $20 extra a month. Over 12 months, that's another $240 gone. So you take the $240 away from the $2,128, and now we're down to $1,888 extra after gas and rent. But wait, you got to eat, right? So let's think about groceries. We all know how groceries have been insane, especially like the price of eggs. But as a conservative estimate, let's say I'm spending an extra $150 a month. In reality, it's probably more, but again, we're trying to be conservative. So if I'm paying an extra $150 a month, that's an extra $1,800 a year. Well, when you take that away from the $1,888, there's only $88 left over from my increase. We haven't even touched on other stuff. Insurance. Conservatively estimate that insurance has gone up $25 a month. That's an extra $300 gone. Utilities. Gas, whether you got natural gas or electric, water, sewer maybe, phone, that kind of stuff. Easily $100 extra a month with all those different utilities combined. So that's another $1,200 a month gone. So this actually means that after my increase of $2 an hour, by the time you take out taxes and rent and gas and groceries and insurance, electricity, utilities, I'm in the hole $1,400, $1,412. And we haven't even addressed the things like, maybe buying some new clothes or having a little, spending money for whatever. I'm in the hole, and I got an increase. Does that make sense? It's just insane. That's not even a cost of living increase, right? Because it's simply not keeping up with inflation. It's crazy. The system is broken. Here's another way to think about it. In 1999, I was working in a glue factory. And at the time, I was paid $17 an hour. That is in 1999 dollars. Now, if you go to an inflation calculator and say, okay, if you had something that was $17 in, say, March of 1999, what would the January 2025 equivalent be? If you look it up, you'll see that it's $32 and change. My wages should have almost doubled. I'm working at a different job, but it's at a comparable pay level, skill and experience and all that kind of stuff. So I should be getting double, approximately. Guess what? I'm not. I'm being paid less. When you adjust for inflation, I'm being paid less now than I was being paid in 1999. And I will venture to say that if most people make the comparison, they'll find out that, assuming, of course, that they were working back then. Or let's put it this way, for most jobs, the wages and the compensation, financial compensation, it is not keeping up with inflation. Why? Why is it not keeping up with inflation? That's a good question, isn't it? What do you think? If you have any ideas, put them down in the comments and we can have a discussion. Personally, I think there's probably a couple of different things going on. One of them, I think, is corporate greed. I don't want to sound like I'm getting into class warfare or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I understand that, businesses are the reason for a business is to make money. I understand that. But is it fair? Is it fair that they have record-breaking profits year over year, and yet your average Joe working, he gets thrown a bone in terms of salary increases, and his wages, his salary, is not keeping up with inflation. That is wrong. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm sure part of it is corporate greed, but I don't think that's the only thing. I think the other thing is that when you have an influx of quote-unquote undocumented immigrants or undocumented workers, we all know what that means. But when you have an influx of that demographic, think about what goes on. Most of the time, well, I don't know what percentage, but you can be sure that a good chunk of the time they're getting paid under the table. And they are willing to work for less than Americans are working for. So employers know that they can get away with offering less. So the net effect is that when you have this type of demographic, it depresses the wages of everybody. Not just those that are here but not supposed to be working, but also American citizens that have lived here all their lives. Their wages are being depressed too. Because what can the employer say? Well, if you don't want to work for this, I'll go find someone else who will. So it takes away Americans' negotiating power in terms of wages and compensation. This is not right. It is not fair. And it's very frustrating. And you could say, well, go get the skills necessary and get a better job. Listen, I've already gone to school. I'm actually in my second career, if you will. But previously I had been teaching math at a community college, and I've done other things. But I have a degree. I'm not stupid. I'm not unskilled. I have a bachelor's in math, and I have a master's in math. What other skills am I supposed to pick up? I'm literate. I'm computer literate. And I have a fair degree of intelligence. It doesn't matter. Skills don't matter. The playing field is not level, and this is wrong. What can we do about it? What do you think about this? Like I said, if you have any comments or questions, or maybe you want to share your experience, please go ahead and put them in the comments, because this is something that we need to talk about. It's not addressed often enough, and I think maybe if more of us will speak out against this, then we can maybe perhaps make a change with regards to this. So, if this video has given you something to think about, if you like it, if you find it interesting or informative, please hit the like button and subscribe, and share it with some friends. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.